Chosen One. You are not watching this by accident. This moment was scheduled in heaven long before you pressed play. By divine appointment, you have been led here because your hidden identity is awakening and the time for recognition has arrived. Chosen One. You have always felt it, that quiet, knowing that sense of being different, set apart, marked. Since childhood, signs have followed you: unusual sensitivity, deep intuition, unexplainable favor, mixed with intense trials. None of it was random. These were markers placed within you, proof that your origin is rare and your assignment is sacred. The word says in Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." That truth is unfolding in you right now. You are standing at the edge of revelation, discovering why rejection shaped you, why pressure refined you, why protection surrounded you when others fell. Anointed One, heaven is pulling back the veil. What you once questioned will now make sense. The patterns, the gifts, the battles, all were preparation. As 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 9 declares, "You are chosen royal, called out of darkness into divine light." Let this be an invocation. Open your heart. Prepare your spirit. What you are about to receive will not only change how you see yourself, it will begin to transform your life, your path, and your purpose. Chosen One. There comes a moment when something inside you awakens so deeply that life can no longer be lived the same way. This was not a phase, not curiosity, not imagination. It was a spiritual awakening that reached into your core and rearranged how you see yourself, people, and the world. You may remember the season when familiar things suddenly felt empty, when conversations lost their meaning, when goals you once chased no longer satisfied your soul. That was not confusion. That was alignment beginning. Heaven was stirring what had been dormant within you, calling you out of spiritual sleep and into awareness. At first, this awakening often feels like loss. You may have felt as if your life was falling apart instead of coming together. Relationships shifted, priorities changed. The version of you that tried to fit into old patterns could no longer survive. Many chosen ones experience this as loneliness, not because they are abandoned, but because their spirit is being refined. Silence becomes louder. Solitude becomes necessary. In that quiet, you start noticing truth where you once accepted illusion. You sense when something is off, even if you cannot explain why. Your soul is learning a new language. This awakening is rarely gentle. It is triggered by moments that shake you awake, a betrayal that cut deeper than expected, a sudden ending that made no logical sense. A crisis that forced you to ask questions you had avoided for years. These moments were not meant to break you. They were designed to strip away false layers so the real you could emerge. What felt like destruction was actually construction happening at a deeper level. God was removing what could not follow you into your next season. You may have tried to resist it. Many chosen ones do. You might have attempted to return to old habits, old friendships, old ways of thinking, hoping to feel normal again. But your spirit would not let you. Once your eyes open, they cannot unsee. Once truth enters, it refuses to leave. That inner tension you felt was not instability. It was your soul rejecting a smaller life than the one it was created for. During this time, you likely felt misunderstood. You may have struggled to explain what you were experiencing because words fell short. People around you continued life as usual while you felt like you were standing between two worlds. This is a common mark of the chosen one. You begin to see beneath the surface while others are still focused on appearances. You notice patterns, motives, and energies that once went unnoticed. your awareness expands, and with it comes responsibility. This awakening also brings sensitivity. Things that never bothered you before suddenly feel heavy. Certain environments drain you. Certain conversations exhaust you. This is not weakness. It is discernment growing. Your spirit is learning to protect itself. God often draws the chosen one away from noise, not to isolate them, but to tune them. When distractions fall away, clarity rises. When attachments loosen, truth strengthens. There is a reason Scripture speaks of being known before being formed. This awakening is the echo of that knowing returning to you. It is the remembrance of who you were always meant to be. You are not becoming someone new. You are uncovering someone ancient within you. This is why the process feels intense. It touches memory, identity, and destiny all at once. You may notice that after this awakening you cannot tolerate pretending anymore. Superficial living feels unbearable. You crave authenticity, depth, and meaning. Your spirit begins to hunger for alignment rather than approval. This is when many chosen ones realize they were never meant to blend in. They were meant to awaken, even if it meant walking a different path. If you are listening to this and recognizing yourself, understand this clearly. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are in the process of remembering who you are. This awakening is the first confirmation that heaven has marked you for something greater. It is the moment your soul stood up and said yes, even before your mind fully understood what was happening. And although this awakening may have felt heavy at times, it carried purpose within it. Every tear, every question, every silent night served a function. Nothing was wasted. Each moment sharpened your awareness, strengthened your spirit, and prepared you to walk forward with clarity, courage, and trust in divine guidance. Chosen one. After awakening comes a season many never understand, a pattern that follows you quietly through life and only later reveals its meaning. Rejection. Not the occasional kind that everyone experiences, but the persistent, confusing kind that seems to shadow your steps, no matter how sincere your heart is. You may have felt it early, long before you had words for identity or calling. Being left out without explanation. Being misunderstood even when your intentions were pure. Being treated like an outsider in rooms where you did nothing wrong. This was never random. This was spiritual. From a young age, you likely noticed that fitting in required shrinking parts of yourself. And even when you tried it, never quite worked. Something in you resisted blending into the crowd. That resistance was not arrogance, it was design. Your spirit carries a frequency that does not dissolve easily into environments built on comfort, compromise, or surface-level living. People sense it before they understand it. Some are drawn closer, others pull away instinctively. Both reactions are responses to the same light. Rejection often arrives through people you expected to stay. Friends who suddenly distance themselves. Family members who don't understand your choices. Colleagues who seem threatened by your presence, even when you remain quiet. This can be painful because the chosen one does not lack empathy. You care deeply. You reflect. You question yourself. You wonder if you did something wrong. But over time, a deeper truth begins to surface. The rejection was not about behavior. It was about alignment. Light exposes without trying. Your presence alone invites honesty, and not everyone is prepared for that encounter. Some feel inspired, others feel confronted. When people carry unresolved wounds, hidden envy, or suppressed fear, your clarity unsettles them. Even your silence can feel loud. Even your stillness can feel disruptive. This is why rejection often comes without explanation. There are no words for discomfort people cannot name. There were moments you tried to earn belonging, you softened your voice, you lowered your expectations, you gave more than you received. Yet the pattern repeated. This was not failure, this was filtration. God allows rejection not to wound you but to redirect you. Every door that closed protected you from staying where your spirit would eventually suffocate. Every person who walked away made room for the alignment that was coming. This kind of rejection forces inner strength. It teaches you to stand without applause. It trains you to listen inwardly rather than constantly seeking validation outwardly. Many chosen ones develop depth early because rejection pushes them inward. You learn to sit with yourself. You learn discernment. You learn that approval is temporary, but alignment is sustaining. It is important to understand that rejection is not punishment. It is positioning. If certain people had stayed, they would have delayed your growth. If certain doors had remained open, you would have outgrown them painfully. God removes what cannot go where you are being led. This process hurts not because it is wrong, but because attachment makes release uncomfortable. You may notice that rejection sharpened your perception. You became more aware of energy, intention, and authenticity. You stopped forcing connections. You stopped chasing acceptance. Slowly, you learned peace with being misunderstood. This peace did not come overnight. It was built through disappointment, reflection, and quiet resilience. But once it settled, it changed how you walked through the world. The chosen one eventually realizes that walking alone for a season is not abandonment. It is preparation. Solitude builds clarity. Distance builds discernment. You begin to recognize that your path requires strength, not borrowed from others' approval. Rejection teaches you to hear God's voice louder than the crowd. If you are listening and recognizing this pattern in your own life, know this. The rejection you endured did not diminish you. It defined you. It refined you. It separated what was familiar from what was aligned. You were never meant to be embraced by everything. You were meant to be protected from what could not honor who you are becoming. And in time, you will see that every rejection quietly positioned you exactly where you needed to be. This understanding brings relief. You stop replaying old conversations. Stop wondering what you should have done differently. You begin honoring the path as it is not as you wished it had been. Strength replaces confusion. Acceptance replaces resentment. The chosen one learns that belonging is not found by fitting in, but by standing rooted in truth. When alignment arrives, it will feel effortless, mutual, and peaceful because it will recognize you without needing explanation or performance from your soul. Until then, trust the process, honor the solitude, and allow rejection to finish its sacred work within you fully, without fear, regret, or hesitation. Chosen one. There is something within you that has never been satisfied with a small life, and this knowing did not come from ambition or comparison. It was placed there long before you had language for it. While others move through life content with routines handed to them, your spirit has always felt restless, as if it were remembering something greater. This restlessness is not dissatisfaction with life itself, but a deep awareness that your existence carries assignment. Even in moments when you tried to settle to quiet the pull to choose what seemed easier or more acceptable, something inside you refused to go numb. That refusal is one of the clearest marks of the chosen one. You may have tried to follow paths that looked safe, careers that promised stability, relationships that looked good on the surface, lifestyles that made sense to everyone else. Yet no matter how hard you tried to convince yourself, fulfillment never lasted. There was always a quiet emptiness, a subtle ache that reminded you this was not it. This was not failure. This was your spirit rejecting a future too small for what it carries. Your soul remembers purpose even when your mind feels unsure. This sense of calling often feels heavy before it feels clear. Many chosen ones experience seasons of confusion, not because they lack direction, but because the vision within them is larger than the map in front of them. You may have felt like you were being prepared for something without knowing exactly what. Like life was training you through experiences that felt excessive, unfair, or intense compared to others around you. You were not imagining that. Preparation rarely feels gentle when the assignment is weighty. The struggles you endured were not random chapters, they were shaping tools. The disappointments taught empathy, the delays taught patience, the pain taught discernment. Nothing was wasted. Even moments you thought disqualified you were quietly qualifying you for deeper understanding. God often develops the chosen one privately, long before allowing them to move publicly. That unseen work is sacred. This purpose within you is not centered on ego or status. It is not about proving anything to anyone. It is about impact, influence, alignment. You are wired to affect environments, shift conversations, and bring clarity where confusion lives. Sometimes this happens through words, sometimes through presence, sometimes through example. But whatever form it takes, your life is meant to touch others in ways you may never fully see. This is why your journey has demanded so much inner work. Influence without integrity collapses, and you were never meant to collapse. There were moments you questioned whether the weight you felt was worth it. Moments you wished you could live more lightly, care less deeply, feel less intensely. But intensity is not a flaw in the chosen one. It is capacity. You feel deeply because you are meant to understand deeply. You question because you are meant to refine truth, not accept it blindly. You are drawn to meaning because surface-level living cannot hold you. Others may not understand this. They may tell you to relax, to stop overthinking, to be more realistic. They may encourage you to settle into what is familiar because unfamiliar growth makes them uncomfortable. But they are not carrying what you carry. They do not feel the same internal pull. Your purpose was not designed for consensus. It was designed for obedience. This calling will follow you even when you try to outrun it. It will show up in quiet moments, in dreams, in sudden clarity during ordinary days. It will nudge you toward growth when comfort tries to keep you still. This is not pressure. It is alignment calling you forward. Purpose does not rush, but it does not retreat either. It waits patiently until you are willing to walk toward it. There will be times when the path feels unclear, when progress feels slow, when you wonder if you are behind. But purpose unfolds in layers, not leaps. Each season reveals only what you need for the step in front of you. Faith grows in this space. Trust is built here. You learn to move without seeing the full picture, relying on inner knowing rather than external certainty. When the chosen one finally begins to align with purpose, things start to shift subtly. Conversations change. Opportunities appear unexpectedly. Old resistance falls away. What once felt heavy begins to feel natural. This is not coincidence. It is alignment catching up with obedience. Life flows differently when you stop fighting your design. If you feel this calling stirring as you listen, honor it. Do not dismiss it as imagination or pressure. It is the voice of purpose reminding you that you were never meant to live unnoticed, unfulfilled, or disconnected from meaning. You were crafted with intention. Your experiences were not random. Your restlessness is not weakness. It is direction. Carry this truth with you quietly and steadily. You do not need to announce it or rush it. Purpose does not require noise. It requires faithfulness. The chosen one learns to trust the process even when understanding comes slowly. And as you continue walking, clarity will meet you where obedience already stands. Chosen one. As this journey deepens, something else begins to surface with increasing clarity, your ability to perceive what others overlook. Long before you called it spiritual discernment, you simply knew when something felt right or wrong. You sensed shifts in atmosphere the moment you entered a room. You felt tension behind smiles, sincerity behind quiet words, and danger behind charm. This was never coincidence, and it was never overthinking. It was awareness, awakening layer by layer, refining itself through lived experience. You may remember moments when you trusted your instincts, even without evidence, and later realized how accurate they were. You may also remember times you ignored that inner signal, only to learn the hard way that your spirit had been right all along. These experiences were not meant to shame you. They were meant to teach you to trust what God placed within you. Discernment is not fear. It is protection. It is the quiet intelligence of the Spirit, learning how to guide you safely through a world full of masks. This sensitivity often made life more complicated. While others moved freely through situations without noticing undercurrents, you felt everything. Crowded places drained you. Certain conversations left you uneasy. Some people exhausted you without saying a word. At times you wondered why life felt heavier for you than for others. But the weight you felt was not weakness. It was depth. You were perceiving layers others never touched. Because of this, you likely struggled with self-doubt. You questioned whether you were too sensitive, too cautious, too intense. You may have been told to relax, to stop reading into things, to give people the benefit of the doubt. And sometimes you tried, but your spirit resisted silence when truth was present. Over time, you began to understand that discernment is not about suspicion, but clarity. It is the ability to read reality without filters. This gift matured as your connection to God deepened. Discernment sharpens in stillness. It grows through prayer, reflection, and humility. It does not come from arrogance or control. It comes from alignment. The more honest you became with yourself, the clearer your perception grew. You started noticing that truth carries a certain calm, while deception carries urgency or pressure. You learned that peace is often the confirmation you need. With discernment comes responsibility. Seeing clearly does not mean reacting impulsively. You may feel tempted to expose what you see, to correct others, to confront deception directly. But wisdom teaches restraint. Not every truth is meant to be spoken aloud. Some truths are revealed so you can move wisely, not loudly. The chosen one learns when to speak and when to step back, trusting that God handles what you are not called to confront. This awareness also changed how you relate to people. You became more selective, not out of pride, but out of preservation. You realized that access to your energy is sacred. Not everyone who smiles deserves closeness. Not everyone who flatters deserves trust. This discernment protected you from repeating old patterns. It taught you to value quality over quantity, depth over familiarity. At the same time, this gift draws both light and shadow. People with genuine hearts feel safe around you. They sense your presence as grounding, honest, and calming. Others, however, feel exposed. They may project insecurity, attempt manipulation, or withdraw entirely. This is not your doing. It is the natural effect of clarity. Light does not chase darkness away. It simply reveals it. You may have felt isolated because of this. It can be lonely to see what others deny. It can be tiring to hold awareness quietly while the world rushes ahead. But discernment is never given to isolate you permanently. It is given to guide you accurately. Over time, it leads you toward environments and relationships where clarity is welcomed, not feared. Discernment also allows you to recognize divine timing. You begin to feel when to move and when to wait, when to hold on and when to release, when to speak and when silence carries more power. This guidance rarely arrives loudly. It comes as a steady knowing, a gentle certainty that does not argue or panic. Learning to trust this rhythm transforms how you move through life. If you are listening and recognizing this within yourself, honor it. Do not dismiss your sensitivity. Do not apologize for your awareness. It was cultivated through experience, prayer, and endurance. It is one of the ways God communicates with you directly. The world may not validate it, but heaven entrusted it to you for a reason. Your discernment is not meant to make you suspicious or hardened. It is meant to keep you aligned. When used with humility, it brings peace rather than anxiety. It keeps you from unnecessary battles and misaligned paths. It helps you walk forward with clarity instead of confusion. Carry this gift with care. Continue strengthening your connection to God, because discernment flows from intimacy with truth. The more aligned you remain, the clearer your perception becomes, and as you move forward, you will notice that what once felt overwhelming now feels like quiet guidance. What once felt like burden now feels like protection. This is the refinement of the chosen one, learning to see clearly without losing compassion, to know deeply without becoming heavy, and to walk wisely without fear. Chosen one. As your discernment matures, another unmistakable pattern becomes clear in your life: the constant tension between favor and resistance. You may have noticed that blessings and battles seem to arrive in close proximity, almost as if they are woven together. When progress begins, opposition follows. When clarity increases, pressure intensifies. This rhythm is not accidental, and it is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a signal that what you carry matters. There have likely been moments when things finally started aligning for you, only for unexpected challenges to surface. A door opens, and suddenly conflict appears. Peace settles in, and chaos tries to interrupt it. You may have wondered why ease never seems to come without effort, why advancement always seems to invite resistance. The truth is simple and heavy at the same time. Favor attracts attention, both seen and unseen. Light does not move quietly through dark spaces without being noticed. You are not experiencing random difficulty. You are encountering resistance because you are advancing. Darkness does not waste energy on what is stagnant. It resists movement, growth, and purpose. This is why many chosen ones feel tested at pivotal moments. Just as you step toward a new level of understanding, responsibility, or influence, pressure increases. This pressure is not meant to stop you, it is meant to strengthen your footing. At times, this contrast can be exhausting. You may have questioned why your life feels like a series of highs and lows rather than a smooth path. But smooth paths rarely produce strength. The chosen one is shaped through endurance. Each challenge refines discernment, resilience, and trust. Each breakthrough confirms that you are not walking alone. Even when resistance feels intense, you are never without covering. Look back at your life honestly. There were situations that should have broken you, but they did not. Moments where you should have been overwhelmed, yet you endured. Seasons where others expected you to fail, but you rose instead. This is not coincidence. This is protection. This is favor operating quietly, consistently, even when you did not recognize it at the time. Favor does not always look like ease. Often it looks like survival when collapse was expected. It looks like clarity when confusion should have taken over. It looks like strength when exhaustion tried to claim you. You were sustained not because you were lucky, but because you were guided. There is a difference. With this favor comes responsibility. The chosen one is not favored for comfort alone. Favor is entrusted to those who can steward it wisely. This is why your journey required maturity before visibility. You were being shaped privately so that when influence arrives, it does not destroy you. Influence without grounding becomes dangerous, and you were never meant to be careless with what you carry. Spiritual resistance does not always arrive as obvious attacks. Often it comes disguised as distraction, discouragement, or doubt. You may find your focus scattered just as clarity emerges. You may feel tempted to abandon growth for comfort. You may hear inner voices questioning your worth or readiness. These are not signs to retreat. They are indicators that you are near something significant. The enemy's goal is rarely to destroy outright. More often, it is to delay, exhaust, or distract, to make you question yourself long enough that you step away voluntarily. This is why endurance is essential for the chosen one. Endurance is not passive waiting, it is active trust. It is choosing alignment even when progress feels slow. You may have wondered why your faith was tested repeatedly, why certainty did not come easily, why clarity required patience. Faith grows strongest in spaces where control is surrendered. You were learning to move without constant reassurance, to trust without full visibility. This kind of faith cannot be taught. It must be lived. Every battle you faced trained you. Every delay strengthened discernment. Every setback sharpened resolve. What once felt like punishment was preparation. You were learning how to remain steady under pressure, how to keep your heart open without becoming vulnerable to every influence, how to walk forward even when the path was not fully lit. There is also a quiet confidence that begins to form through this process. Not arrogance, not pride, but steadiness. You stop panicking when resistance appears. You recognize it as part of the terrain. You no longer interpret challenge as failure. You see it as confirmation that movement is happening. This shift changes everything. Favor does not remove warfare, it attracts it. But warfare does not mean defeat. It signals that something valuable is present. You are not fighting because you are weak. You are being resisted because you are effective. This understanding transforms fear into focus. You may still experience moments of weariness. The chosen one feels deeply, and carrying purpose is not weightless. But weariness does not mean you are losing. It means you are human. Rest is part of stewardship. Learning when to pause is just as important as knowing when to push forward. If you feel this tension between favor and resistance in your life, do not interpret it as imbalance. It is alignment unfolding. You are walking a path that requires awareness, discipline, and trust. You are being shaped to carry what is coming without losing yourself along the way. Hold steady, remain grounded. Continue strengthening your connection to God, because favor flows through alignment. The resistance will not last forever, but the growth it produces will. And when the season shifts, you will realize that every battle quietly built the strength you needed to stand where you are meant to stand. Chosen one. Beneath every season you have walked through, there has always been one constant that never truly left you: your connection to God. Even when life pulled you in different directions, even when doubt crept in, even when exhaustion made prayer feel heavy, that connection remained. It may have weakened at times, felt distant or gone quiet, but it never disappeared. This is not because you were perfect or disciplined, but because you were chosen. The bond was not built on performance. It was formed in origin. You likely noticed early that your relationship with God felt different from those around you. While others approach faith casually or only during crisis, you felt drawn to it as a source of grounding guidance and truth. You did not simply believe, you sensed. You felt presence. You experienced moments of peace that arrived without explanation, moments of clarity that came without effort. This was not emotional comfort, it was alignment. God has always spoken to you in ways your spirit understands. There were seasons when you felt close, when prayer flowed naturally and trust felt easy. And there were seasons when silence stretched longer than you expected. During those quiet stretches, you may have wondered if you had done something wrong, if you had drifted too far, if you had lost favor. But silence is not abandonment. Often it is refinement. God sometimes quiets external reassurance so inner trust can grow. You may remember moments when strength appeared from nowhere. Times you should have given up but didn't. Moments when calm settled over you in the middle of chaos. Decisions you made that later revealed protection you could not see at the time. These were not accidents. They were signs of guidance operating beneath the surface. You were being led even when you did not realize it. This connection shaped your values quietly. You developed an intolerance for dishonesty, superficiality, and empty ambition. Certain environments began to drain you, not because you were judgmental, but because your spirit could not thrive in spaces disconnected from truth. You became more aware of what nourished you and what depleted you. This awareness was not learned, it was remembered. There may have been periods where you questioned belief itself. Moments when pain challenged faith, when unanswered prayers felt personal. These moments do not disqualify the chosen one, they deepen them. Questioning does not threaten real connection. Avoidance does. And even when you questioned, you never fully disconnected. Something always pulled you back. A whisper, a feeling, a moment of clarity in the middle of confusion. That pull was relationship, not obligation. Unlike rigid belief systems, your connection to God became personal. You did not rely solely on structure or routine. You spoke honestly. You listened quietly. You learned to recognize guidance through peace rather than pressure. This intimacy is not common. It is cultivated through sincerity. God responds to openness more than performance. You may have noticed that this connection influenced your discernment, your decisions, and your resilience. It shaped how you navigated hardship. You did not avoid pain, but you did not collapse under it either. There was a steady undercurrent holding you upright when everything else felt unstable. That undercurrent was trust, even when you could not name it. As your journey continued, this connection demanded protection. You became more selective with what you allowed into your life. You recognized that constant noise weakened clarity, that distraction diluted sensitivity, that certain relationships pulled you away from alignment. This awareness was not isolation, it was stewardship. You were learning to guard what sustains you. The world constantly competes for attention. Endless information, comparison, urgency, and distraction pull at focus. The chosen one must learn to return to stillness repeatedly, not to escape life, but to recalibrate within it. Stillness is where guidance becomes clear again. It is where confusion settles and direction sharpens. When you remain aligned, things begin to flow differently. Not perfectly, but purposefully. You notice timing align unexpectedly. You find peace in decisions that once caused anxiety. You stop forcing outcomes and start trusting process. This is not passivity. It is cooperation with guidance rather than resistance to it. Your connection to God is not meant to elevate you above others. It is meant to anchor you within yourself. It grounds you when praise arrives and steadies you when criticism appears. It reminds you that identity is not granted by circumstance, but sustained by alignment. If you are listening and recognizing this deep connection, honor it. Protect it. Do not neglect it for convenience or approval. It is the source of your clarity, your endurance, and your peace. You do not need to explain it to everyone. Sacred things are not always meant for public display. They are meant to be lived. This connection will continue guiding you as your path unfolds. It will correct you gently, redirect you quietly, and strengthen you consistently. Even when you feel uncertain, it remains. Even when you feel tired, it holds you. Even when you feel alone, it surrounds you. The chosen one is never truly disconnected. Alignment may waver, but relationship remains. And as long as you continue returning inward, listening closely and moving with integrity, this connection will continue to guide every step forward. Chosen one. As you continue walking this path, you begin to notice something that cannot be ignored, no matter how much you try to stay quiet or blend in. Your presence carries weight. Even when you say very little, something shifts around you. Rooms feel different when you enter them. Conversations change direction without you intending to lead them. People respond to you in ways they cannot fully explain. This is not imagination, and it is not ego. It is influence rooted in spirit, not personality. You may have tried to downplay it. You may have learned early to soften yourself, to shrink your expression, to stay in the background so others would feel comfortable. Yet even then, you stood out. Not because you demanded attention, but because your energy spoke before your words did. Some people felt seen around you. Others felt exposed. Some opened up unexpectedly, sharing struggles they never planned to voice. Others reacted defensively, guarded, or strangely competitive. These reactions were never about what you did. They were responses to what you carry. This influence often reveals itself in subtle ways. A calm settles in tense situations when you are present. Clarity emerges during confusion after you speak. People seek your perspective even when they cannot articulate why. You may have noticed that strangers trust you quickly, while certain people resist you without reason. This contrast is not accidental. It is the effect of spiritual presence moving through ordinary moments. Carrying this kind of influence can feel heavy at times. You may feel responsible for moods in a room, for the emotional temperature of conversations, for the unspoken tension others bring. This sensitivity is not meant to burden you. It is meant to teach boundaries. The chosen one must learn that influence does not mean obligation. You are not called to carry everyone. You are called to remain aligned. There were likely moments when you felt misunderstood because of this presence. You may have been told you were intense, too serious, too deep, or intimidating. You may have wondered why people projected intentions onto you that you never had. But projection happens when people encounter something within themselves they are not ready to face. Your presence acts as a mirror, and mirrors are rarely neutral. This influence is not something you turn on or off. It is the result of your journey, your awareness, your integrity, and your connection to truth. You have walked through pressure without becoming cruel. You have faced rejection without becoming bitter. You have endured silence without losing compassion. These experiences shape presence. They give your words weight because they are backed by lived understanding, not theory. You may have noticed that when you compromise your alignment, your influence feels scattered. You feel drained, unfocused, disconnected. But when you return to truth, stillness, and clarity, your presence steadies again. This is because influence flows from alignment, not effort. You do not need to perform to be impactful. You simply need to remain true. Not everyone will appreciate this presence. Some will feel threatened by it. Others will try to compete with it. Some may attempt to diminish you through criticism, humor, or subtle undermining. This is not because you are doing something wrong. It is because clarity unsettles those who rely on illusion. Light does not argue, it reveals. You may have learned to protect yourself by withdrawing at times. This withdrawal was not weakness, it was instinct. You were learning when to engage and when to conserve. Influence requires discernment. Not every environment deserves your energy. Not every conversation deserves your insight. Part of your growth has been learning that silence can be just as powerful as speech. This presence also attracts responsibility. When you speak, people listen. When you act, others observe. You may not have asked for this visibility, but it follows alignment naturally. This does not mean you must be perfect. It means you must be honest. Integrity sustains influence far longer than image ever could. You may sometimes feel the urge to hide, to step away from attention entirely. This is understandable. Carrying influence can feel exposing. But remember, your presence is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to serve purpose. Purpose does not rush. It unfolds gradually, allowing you to grow into the weight you carry. As you mature, you begin to recognize when to step forward and when to remain still. Influence becomes quieter, more intentional. You stop trying to be understood by everyone. You stop explaining yourself unnecessarily. You allow alignment to speak on your behalf. This is when presence becomes most powerful. If you recognize this influence in yourself, honor it without fear. Do not confuse humility with invisibility. You are allowed to take up space without apology. You are allowed to exist fully without shrinking to manage others' comfort. This presence was shaped through experience, restraint, and faithfulness. It is not accidental. Remain grounded. Stay aligned. Protect your energy. Influence is not about control. It is about consistency. When you walk steadily, speak honestly, and live with integrity, your presence will continue doing what it was designed to do. You do not need to announce it. Those who are meant to feel it already do. Chosen one. As you stand where you are now, something quietly settles into place inside you. It is not excitement and it is not fear. It is recognition. A calm understanding that your life has never been random, that every turn, delay, and detour has carried intention, even when it felt confusing at the time. This awareness does not arrive loudly. It arrives gently, like a truth you have always known, finally being spoken out loud. You begin to realize that the signs you questioned were never coincidences, and the patterns you endured were never meaningless. They were markers guiding you step by step toward alignment. At this stage, the chosen one often notices a shift in how struggle feels. Challenges may still arise, but they no longer shake your identity. You have learned the difference between difficulty and danger. Not every obstacle is meant to stop you. Some are meant to strengthen your discernment, sharpen your patience, and deepen your trust. You no longer interpret resistance as rejection from God. You understand it as refinement. This understanding changes how you respond. Instead of panic, you pause. Instead of doubt, you listen. You may notice that your reactions have softened. Situations that once triggered fear or urgency now meet steadiness. This is growth. Emotional maturity is one of the quiet confirmations of a chosen one. You are no longer ruled by impulse or validation. You have learned to move from inner clarity rather than external pressure. This does not mean you no longer feel deeply. It means your feelings no longer control your direction. With this maturity comes a clearer sense of responsibility. You begin to recognize that what you carry is not only for you. Your presence, your words, your example, even your restraint impact others in ways you may never fully witness. This is not a burden, it is stewardship. The chosen one learns to live intentionally, knowing that influence flows naturally from alignment. You no longer chase impact. You allow it to unfold through consistency. You may also notice a shift in what you desire. Superficial goals lose their appeal. Validation feels empty. Comparison no longer motivates you. Instead, you crave peace, truth, and purpose. You seek environments that nourish your spirit rather than inflate your ego. This is not withdrawal from life. It is refinement of focus. You are learning what truly matters. At times you may feel misunderstood, even now. Growth does not guarantee universal acceptance, but misunderstanding no longer wounds you the way it once did. You have learned that clarity does not require consensus. You trust your inner alignment more than public opinion. This trust frees you. You stop explaining yourself unnecessarily. You stop shrinking to fit expectations that were never designed for you. This stage also brings a deeper sense of gratitude, not the surface kind, but the quiet kind, rooted in understanding. You can look back at difficult seasons without resentment. You see how each one shaped you, taught you, and protected you. Even the pain carries meaning now. This does not mean you excuse harm. It means you no longer let it define you. Healing has shifted your perspective. You may also find that your faith feels steadier, not louder, not performative, but grounded. You trust without needing constant reassurance. You move forward even when the path is not fully visible. This is not blind belief. It is informed trust built through experience. You have seen guidance at work enough times to recognize it now. As this trust grows, so does your ability to wait. Patience no longer feels like punishment. It feels purposeful. You understand that timing is not delay, but preparation, aligning with opportunity. You stop rushing outcomes and start honoring process. This shift changes how you move through uncertainty. You remain open without being anxious, hopeful without being attached to immediate results. You may notice that certain doors begin to open more naturally, not dramatically, but appropriately. Conversations align. Opportunities appear that match your values. Resistance decreases in places where alignment exists. This is not reward, it is resonance. Life responds differently when you move in integrity with who you are. There is also a deeper compassion that develops here. Having walked through confusion, rejection, and refinement, you understand others more clearly. You listen differently. You respond with wisdom rather than judgment. This compassion does not weaken you. It strengthens your presence. People feel safe around you not because you fix them, but because you understand without needing to control. The chosen one at this stage learns balance. You know when to give and when to step back, when to speak and when silence carries more wisdom, when to act and when stillness is the answer. This balance is not learned intellectually, it is earned through experience. It reflects maturity, not detachment. You may still face moments of uncertainty. Growth does not eliminate challenge, but uncertainty no longer feels threatening. It feels like part of movement. You trust that clarity will arrive when needed, not always when requested. This trust keeps you grounded even when answers are incomplete. As you continue forward, remember this: you do not need to rush your becoming. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where refinement meets readiness. Continue honoring alignment. Continue protecting your connection to truth. Continue moving with integrity rather than urgency. The path unfolds for those who walk it faithfully, not forcefully. Carry yourself with quiet confidence. Let your life speak. Let your presence remain steady. The chosen one does not need to announce who they are. Alignment reveals itself naturally. And as you continue walking, you will recognize that the signs were never meant to confuse you. They were meant to guide you home to yourself. Chosen one. As this message comes to rest within, you receive this truth with reverence. You were never ordinary, and you were never overlooked. What has been revealed to you is not information, it is remembrance. Heaven has been unveiling your identity, drawing your attention to the signs, the markers, the sacred origin that has set you apart since the beginning. This moment is not random, it is confirmation. Anointed One, may clarity replace confusion, may courage rise where doubt once lingered, and may your spirit stand firm in the calling placed upon your life. Walk forward grounded in truth, aligned in purpose, and steady in faith. Let no voice diminish what God has awakened within you. If your spirit bears witness to this calling, you may quietly affirm it in the comments or remain in stillness before Him. Stay close, stay aligned, stay faithful. You are guided, protected, and sent. Walk boldly in your divine path.